Welcome back to Podcasting More Nerdy. These two guys have seen Superman.
Have you?
And have you? And it's been, and we're going to split this up into two different parts, a spoiler-free part and a spoiler-heavy part. So if you're tuning into this video, you're in luck if you haven't seen Superman, because this is going to be the spoiler-free part where you're just going to get our overall view. And you'll return to us for our spoiler-laced episode later on. So I will say that this, to me, this Superman is, for everything it gets wrong, it gets things right. And to me, it's a much better, like, to me, like you, I'm going to just say this, and you can come after me. But you Snyder cultists are a drop in the bucket, and that's evidence of the audience score. And you can say manufactured, whatever you want, but it's evidence. Like, you guys are loud on X, but I don't think, because that's your tribe. You take that for what you want. I went there. Oh, that's fine. That's your tribe. MAGA kind of go hand in hand. That's your tribe.
You vote one way in one dang election because you don't want things to go up and under. We're not making this a political. Wow!
But that's where.
Wow!
And that's fine. That's fine.
But blue hats, purple hats. I ain't got a red hat in sight.
That's
Blasphemy.
fine. That's fine. But that's where it dies, just like the Snyderverse. So most people who I think are seeing this movie are having fun with it, and that's evidenced by the score. I think I am one of those people who had fun with it. Do I think it's God's gift to comic book movies? No, it's not. And I don't think there really is any movie out there that is.
I don't think he came out with the intent of making a comic book accurate Superman. I think he's got a big picture for this, and we got a taste of it here.
Well, on the same token, I will say, like, if you wanted to see a comic book style movie come to life, like you're reading a comic book panel by panel, to me, this movie is that. This movie is like a comic book. People are saying this, and it's true. This, to me, this Superman 2025 is like you're like going through a comic book and it's live action. The way the color is, the way the scenes work, it's very comic booky.
I'll give you that.
But on the same token, because of that, I think some decisions are made that kind of bring this movie down. And not without going into spoilers, there's several things that you just like. I found myself several times in this, and I text Brandon right after I saw it, that I found myself going, well, that's convenient, or okay, what? Or like, back up a minute. You know, like, this movie expected a lot from you to either already know as a comic book fan or to just accept. And at points that took me out of this movie. That's where I'm going to start my overarching thoughts. I see you nodding your head some, but where are you at, Brent?
James Gunn, the DC Universe. I've been waiting for this movie to see what he's going to do with DC and how he's going to do it. Creature Commandos was a little bit of a taste. This is going to be a very try to be serious, but not serious saga in the DC Universe. This is not going to be your Batman. This is not going to be your dark anything. This is going to be light. This is going to be exciting. This is going to be fun.
This is going to be fun.
And it kind of makes sense when Warner Brothers stopped making money on DC. What's the first thing they do? Who made money in the comic book realm? James Gunn. And I thought that James Gunn was going to come in and show me something different. I thought James Gunn was not going to be James Gunny. This is going to be a fun run of the DC universe. I don't think DC does fun well. I think DC's wheelhouse has always been the villains and the darker side of things. I feel like that's where DC thrives the most because we don't get that anywhere else, really. It's a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I'm not a Superman fan. I'm not a Batman fan. I'm not really a DC fan. I'm a superhero fan. And I went into this with an open heart, but I also had that James Gunn thing in the back of my skull just thumping, going, you know who this is. You know how this movie feels. And it very much felt like Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
I would agree with that.
I would say it's a setup. It's a light, bright, and shiny. He has an opportunity to do with what he did with the Guardians saga. It did stay light for the most part, but we did get some nice closure. James Gunn is very good about pocketing up, closing up files, and burning them. I am happy with how the movie went. I am excited for the rest of the universe. Do I think James Gunn did exactly what we thought he was going to do? If you watch our previous episodes, that's the one thing I said is James Gunn going to be James Gunny? and we got it. So congrats, DC Universe. You guys have something, and like you said, breath of fresh air. This is the deep breath. This is the inhale. This is the oxygenation of the muscles. This is the I feel good now. And this is honestly, it's kind of what DC needed. And I think that's what shows with the audience score.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting at. Like this movie is coming at a time where DC really needed it. Like if Gunn tried to be Snyder or even close to Snyder and go for that mopey Cavill-esque Superman, I mean, this is a minor thing. Superman literally saves a squirrel at one point. Literally saves
and the dog. He like really tries really hard to save the dog. Yeah.
Things like that. That's Superman, guys. And Cavill, we never got that from him.
No, he didn't.
So I think Gunn did a lot right in this movie. I want to speak on a broad form before we start going to our next part of spoilers on just overall casting. You spoke to that. We didn't speak on Lanthium about how the casting was going to work. I think a lot of the people who were cast did their jobs well. Yes. To me, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor was a huge standout.
So good, bro. I was like, get him, Beast, go, boy.
Woo! Yeah, baby. He was a great medium between the campy Jesse Eisenberg and more of a serious, like, we never had a serious, but like a Kevin Spacey sort of thing.
I would go Smallville. I say
Michael Rosenbaum. Yeah.
Yes. I think he watched a ton of Smallville and aged him up. It felt very much like Rosenbaum's. Like it was good. I was really happy with that casting up when we did it, or when we talked about it, and you were too, I think. But the big thing we were worried about was, is he going to bring the oomph? And there was a lot of it.
And he knew when to somewhat cheese it up and when to like really dial it in. And we'll go more and more in the spoilers. Yeah. But Lex was a big standout to me, Nicholas Hoult. To me, one thing, especially in a Superman movie like this, is you had to feel the chemistry all the way around between a lot of players. And I felt the chemistry between David Corenswet and Nicholas Hoult, between Superman and Lex. Lois and Clark they were great together.
It's funny you said Lois and Clark, because I was watching videos and they were talking about how the relationship between Lois and Clark felt very much like Lois and Clark, The Adventures of Superman TV show. Mm-hmm. It was very like whirlwind romance feel, and that's kind of how we understand it to be from the comic books. So I think that was a good chemistry there. I didn't like the Lois acting though.
Have to get into that. But so that's our overall view without spoilers. We're gonna save
one more big shout out, guys.
Yeah.
One more big shout out. I can't pronounce his last name, but Edie, who played Mr. Terrific.
Stand out.
That him and Fillion together, I was nervous because Nathan is he's a seasoned actor. He's been in this space for a long time. We've seen him do a few things. But I think his time under The Rookie, the Rookie TV show, if you haven't seen it, definitely is something to watch. I kind of tempered Nathan Fillion and brought some dramatic to his comedy, and he brought it with this, because don't get me wrong, Guy Gardner is a goofball, and we'll get more into it again in the spoilers version. We'll talk more about it, but it was a very good casting, and the chemistry between Mr. Terrific and Guy Gardner was magnanimous. I also got to call out Isabel Merced. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah. There's definitely one or two characters I could took or left, and she doesn't come to mind, but it's interesting you talk about her, but we'll definitely have to get into that. We're going to save our grade for the spoiler.
Absolutely.
So come back for that in our next episode. But like I always tell you guys, we want to hear what you think. What did you think of Superman? If you haven't seen it yet, and does this make you want to see it more? Makes you want to see it less? Let us know in the comments where you stand, and join us for our next episode where we go in depth with spoilers. We'll see you then. Keep it nerdy.